Amazon Mid Server is basically required when you are interacting with any third-party system. It can be a ServiceNow instance, or it can be any other third-party system, external system, when you want to interact with that, and if it is into a firewall. So when you need to penetrate the firewall, then you need something to be residing in that network, so that you can communicate with that residing thing, and then you can send your communication data here. It's a normal firewall concept. Like since you can't penetrate with your normal HTTP request the firewall, so what you do is you have a Java code. Basically, Mid server is a Java file, like on any of the VM which is inside that firewall network. We have that Java file installed on any of the virtual machine, or it can be like real machine, or it can be virtual machine. Okay, so it's like we configure, we have a file there, and it helps us to receive the data as well as send the data from there. So it acts as a middle agent, and so this is called as like mid server, because they act as a middle between your ServiceNow instance and your third party. It can be your other ServiceNow instance, or it can be other external system. So this is how definition of mid server can be. Like it's required whenever there is a firewall and you want your like mid server to be installed inside the firewall, so that you can communicate anything when you want something from that firewall. So when you will write mid server here, so one thing you will see under the discovery, and rest of the things it's here of regarding mid servers. So when you will just click on mid servers, it will give you the list of mid servers installed in your system. But since it's like it's a demo instance, it's not our instance, so we can't have that file here. Like I can't have, because I don't have a VM that I can install here. But what happens is, if you have a real-time environment, so you have some VMs. So what you do is, you all know like how we go on a remote desktop. We have this remote desktop connection, right? So herein we put the server name, and when we try to connect with that server, we will require an admin username and password, and that username and password should be a SA, like admin account. It should be an admin account on that server. Admin account means you can create something there. You should have your rights to create something there. So what you do is, you with this remote desktop connection, you log in into that server, because you have that server name, and once you have that server name, you are required to put in the username and password. Now once you log in with that login into that server, then that computer will appear there, right? Once that computer, those can be Windows machine or in Unix machine. So what you do is, you go in its C drive. I don't think so it will work in my system. So you go in their C drive, and there you need to there will be a config file that you get on wiki. Okay, so that config config file. What you do is, you just paste the config file there. When you will read about mid servers and wiki, it's really very good illustrated there. So you need to follow the same steps, whatever it is mentioned there. So what there you will get a config file even. So what you need to do is, you need to just, oh, I'm sorry, what I am writing. So, and this is the same link which you will installation instructions. So it will take you to the same thing. And herein what you do is, this video tutorials is very helpful. You can just have a look. It will help you what exactly needs to be done. So you need to like give the username, password, first name, last name. But this is initially setting the mid server. When you create a new mid server here. When you create a new mid server here, so these are the things that you need to give. Now you need to give your host name, you need to give, because since we don't have all this VM things, so I can just explain you. So what you do is, after connecting with that mid server, going on that like its C drive, you will paste that config file. You will get that config file from here itself. You can download the enabling discovery thing here, and you can just paste it there. After pasting, you need to change three things. One thing will be, there will be an instance URL. So you need to give your instance URL there. There will be, it will be written https instance name.servicenow.com. It will be there in that file. It will be shown where you need to change. So you need to go there and modify, instead of instance name, you need to write your instance name. Suppose it is dev114, so you need to write there dev114. So you need to change that one thing, and then in the next line it will be username and password. So you need to give any user that exists in your system. Like either people go for creating one more user for discovery. It should be with no role user. It's okay if it is no role, but that username and password should exist in your user table of ServiceNow. So you put a, like we usually make a mid server account, and we put that mid server username and password there, so that it's like you can connect on that mid server through this user account. It's like always we connect to mid server with this user account. So this is how the mid server activity works. Now, like what is the use of mid servers? So it's like whenever we want to pull in data or we push in data something, and suppose the where you want to pull in the data, and that data is under a firewall. So what you do is you install a mid server in that firewall. Now whenever you raise a request, so what happens is you give your request to mid server. And since mid server is like linked into your ServiceNow instance, it will take the response. It will take your question, like whatever you will push in, it will take that and it will then fire it into its network, and then it will return the response to your ServiceNow instance. So this is how mid server concept work. So now every one of you is comfortable, like what is mid server? Is this concept clear to you all?
Madam, can you explain one more time?
Sure. So, as I told, like I can't show you what needs to be done. Reason being, we don't have a VMware. We are not working on a organization wherein we have that things. But the thing is, the mid-server concept is nothing but it can be on a virtual machine or it can be on a physical machine. Now, what you need to do is, suppose it's like you fill in a real-time requirement. Now, the thing is, you need to bring the data of your, like, you see, this is my ServiceNow instance. Now, this is my like configuration. You all know, like, it is my CMDB. Now, suppose I want to bring all my routers. I need to bring in all the information of my routers. Now, all my routers, IP routers, are into a network. It will be network means it will be an IP range. It will be IP range from 1.0.0 something to 1. Something. There is this range, but it is all under cover of a firewall. Now we all know when there is a firewall, we need a proxy to enter into firewall, right? So how our mid server works is, what we do is we install our mid server into that IP range which falls under the firewall. What we do is we'll find a computer in that network, whatever that network is, we'll find a computer. Maybe it's a physical computer or maybe it's a virtual machine. We'll try to find out a system or a place wherein we can log in. How we'll log in? With the help of this remote desktop connection. We'll log in into that server. And what we'll do is we'll go to its admin, where we'll go to its C drive, and there we'll paste a file that we get it directly from our wiki. So that is config file. That file is called as config file. We just paste that file there. And after pasting that file, there will be an admin page in it. Like when you will click it, it will be kind of so many things. So there will be config.xml that you will be pasting it. So what you will do is on that config.xml, you will right click, open it as a notepad. And when you will open it as a notepad, there will be a list of things. So on either like second last or third last line, there will be an instance URL, a username and a password. So therein you need to change your instance URL to the instance from which you want to connect that mid server. Suppose you are working on dev118, so there it will be written like instance name.servicenow.com. So you need to replace that instance name with your dev118 because your instance name is your 118, dev118. So you will replace that part from your whatever your instance. Suppose you are working for Oracle. So your Oracle instance may be oracle.servicenow.com. So there you will be replacing the instance name with Oracle. So for whatever company you are working on, you will be having your instance URL, right? So you will be pasting it there. And also you will be having a username and password, like your user account in your ServiceNow user table that you will be using for connecting with server. So what you need to do is that role should have all the mid server related roles even. So that user, like we will be having one user, we were created into user account of ServiceNow. So we will be pasting that username there where we will be writing the user ID and password, whatever password we will be giving. So after doing all this, we will see, like once we save it and then we need to restart that, we will right click there and we'll find the thing of restart. So when we restart it, that mid server should be up and running. So when you will click on mid server here in your system, it should reflect that mid server name, whatever the name you have given, and it should reflect here and it should give the status as up. I don't have any instance wherein I can show you the same because I have no VM as of now. But this is how the mid servers are installed. And for your guide, I'm telling you, like, go through this tutorial how to set up a mid server and how to set up multiple mid servers. I don't think so. This is required as of now. Just go to how to set up mid server. It's really very helpful and it's very easy to digest. Also, it's very easy. I think you will get that. Is that clear, Sridhar? It was Shashidhar, right?
Yes, madam.
Have you got an idea what exactly a mid server is?
Yeah, I just got an idea. Then I will go through videos and I will find it.
Yeah. In case if you have any doubts, we have our last class tomorrow. You can ask me then.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else have doubt? Shall I proceed then? Yes. Can you be on mute? Actually, my voice is resonating. So yeah. Thank you. So if everyone is clear with mid server, I wanted to explain mid server first because discovery also runs through mid server, and when we will be doing to web services, then also it's like we can. There are some cases where we use mid server. So when we'll go through those concepts, it will be we'll get an idea there. So you have got what is a mid server? Mid server is simply a Java code which takes the data, which forwards the data, and when it gets the response, it forwards back to the ServiceNow instance. It's nothing like it won't process anytime your data. It has nothing to do with your data here. Here it will just act as a passing agent. It will just act as a proxy agent which will pass data from here and there. That's it. So now our work is to learn discovery. See, now this is, here comes what exactly a discovery of ServiceNow means. See, our main thing of ServiceNow runs over the ITIL processes. ITIL processes being incident, problem, change. Like these all are correlated. But everything revolves around a CMDB. Everything revolves around a configuration management database. When I write configuration, you will see there are many classes. Like when I will write configuration completely, you will see this is application servers, clusters, database instances, network. These all are my classes of CMDB. Why? See, if I'm working for an organization, and suppose that is an organization which deals with, suppose it's an insurance company, but then also they will have their own applications, they will have their own servers, they will have their server clusters. So all these things needs to be maintained properly into my ServiceNow, because suppose there is an incident, there is a failure of one server, so I can get to know how many applications are not running. Because if one server fails, there will be all related applications running on that server. So if I have that relationship stored in my ServiceNow instance, I will get to know then and there that since this server is not responding, there are 10 applications related to it. So all 10 applications won't work. So I need to reshift them from that server to other server to make them up and running. So such kind of things are like required to maintain CMDB. So here you need initial, like when you start with the ServiceNow instance, how you will get your CMDB data. So this is herein the challenge comes. So there are some organizations which are very small. So what they do is they make an Excel, they create an Excel file, and then they dump it into ServiceNow. Like they dump it into, suppose they have created all the Excels of the applications they have created an Excel of all the servers they have, and then they do the import load, and then they maintain it, and they try to correct the data. This is one way. This is eligible for all the organizations that are very small. But suppose an organization size is very big. How can they do? Like this is not possible, right? Everything, every time maintaining the Excels, is it possible? No, it can't be. It can't be as accurate as possible. So herein came a new concept named as discovery. So what does discovery do? Discovery is a kind of thing, like it's probes and sensors. It's like a mixture of Java codes. What it do is, we'll see like how it works. We'll just write discovery here. What you do is, when you will write discovery here, you need to see the discovery schedules. What you do is, you will just create a new discovery schedule. Before that, I will just tell you one thing. Discovery is a paid plugin, as in like if you have bought the ServiceNow instance, there are many plugins which we activate. Like these are kind of add-ons. It's like you have taken a sim of normal and then you take some add-on value packages, right? So it's a kind of add-on, and it's, if your company doesn't buy it, you won't see this discovery module in your normal. Since this is demo instance, in demo we always have all the things in short so that we can see it. But in your organization, it may be that there is no discovery, because if they have not bought it, so there will be no discovery. So what we do is, when we go and before discovery schedule, we should have a mid server in place. Without mid server, our discovery should not run. Our discovery can't run basically, because discovery is done through a mid server, wherein mid server goes, and because we push the probes from our mid server to like in a network, we'll specify the network, and then the result comes in, which mid server pushes back to ServiceNow, and ServiceNow process the results. So what to do is, we will write the name here. Now what do you want to discover? Do you want to discover a configuration item? Do you want to discover an IP address? Do you want to discover a network? Or do you want to discover a web service? This is basically used for only configuration items, or in some cases IP address. I have never seen cases wherein we are discovering a network or web service, because we have some other methods for doing so. So this is like this. Now what is behavior? Behavior is like you can create your own behaviors. It depends, like do you want, you know initially that it will be only Windows servers coming in. So you can define your behavior. So what you do is, you just decrease your load of doing mid server, like your mid server's load, your discovery load you decrease by defining a behavior, but as of now it's not mandatory, so let it be as in. Herein you require a mid server for sure. That should be up and running. Your mid server, the list of mid server that's showing here, its status should be up. If it's not up, your discovery won't run. So this is your mandate thing before running before running a discovery schedule. Now once you save this, since I am unable to save it because there is a mid server is an important field and I don't have any data, I can't save it. But when I save it, what happens is, there will be an related list wherein I need to provide the IP address range. IP address range will be my organization. It will be given to you. Suppose someone asks you to run a discovery, it will be 101%. They will give you the mid server details. They will give you the IP ranges and all. So therein you need to put your start range and end range. So when you put the start range and end range, and if you run, like when you submit this data, there will be an option called run discovery. There will be one more button. It's like I won't be able to submit it, so I'm not submitting it here. So once your mid server is up and you have selected mid server, when you this discovery schedule, you will get an option run discovery. Once you run the discovery, what happens? See, as soon as you click on run discovery, your mid server acts, and what it does is the range which you have specified. Suppose you have specified 1.0.0.0 to 1.0.0.25. Suppose you have specified this range. So within this range, how many subnet masks are there? Whatever it is, your mid server will go and will tell all. There are 34 probes, right? 12 probes, 34 total. There are some number of probes. So I didn't remember the exact. There are some probes which every mid server will hit on each and every device that comes into that range. Suppose there are like we have 25 range, right? There will be so many subnet masks. So it will just throw out the probes. It's a kind of like throwing out in general questions. Now what happens is, suppose it's a Windows machine. Suppose there is like on 1.0.0.2 there was a window machine, because every machine has its own IP address, right? So suppose at 1.0.0.2 there is a window machine. So how it will happen is, it will react at some specific port number. Window reacts at some specific port number. Unix reacts with some specific port number. If it is a printer, printer reacts with some specific port number. So it's like, suppose you have given 12 questions, so answer will come for only one answer. And how will identify what is the answer? It's like it's a response from specific port number. Suppose I didn't remember the exact port numbers, but it's like suppose 25 is the response. So we'll be figuring out like 25 is the response, so it will be always a Windows machine. So this is how it works. Like for 120, like 1.0.0.0 to 25, there will be many things. You will be just giving mid server will be throwing probes. Then the sensors will be coming out. Like once you have thrown the probes, there will be if there is a response, then response is processed given to ServiceNow from mid server that yes, at 1.0.0.2 this port number 25 has responded. This means it's a Windows application. Now what happens is, we have second level of probes. Now we know that it's a Windows machine. Now we know that there will be some related Windows applications. So we'll be throwing out 10 new probes. It's like it's all written into discovery. You don't have to do anything. I'm just explaining how it works. So it will automatically throw the other probes, and in that scenario what happens is, it will, suppose there are we have given question for 10 applications and there are 4 applications. So 4 applications will respond. So this is how we get to know things. And what happens when you run it, there will be a discovery log into below. So that discovery log will be coming, and then there are some business tools that automatically create some configuration item in your system, because we were discovering configuration items. So I understand this is a typical topic, but have you all like understood at least 50% what I tried to explain now?
Yeah.
In general, if someone asks you what is discovery, will you be able to like explain what it is used for? Mid server discovery is used to populate your CMDB. This is first thing, noted. Like in initial setup, if you want to populate your CMDB, sure, you can use discovery. Discovery works with the help of mid servers. It's an agentless discovery. We are always called as agentless because here mid server does not do anything. It does not process any data. It just passes data. So it is called as agentless discovery something. Second thing. Third thing is, what you need to do is you need to create discovery schedules. You need to choose a mid server that should be up and running. And third thing, you need to define the IP ranges. This is what you should all know about discovery if someone asks you the questions. Is this clear to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
And there is one more thing, that is quick discovery. If you will all see, this is option. This is like if you want to just know that things are, suppose I have something like, I know that this is my Windows machine. suppose, and I want to check it's working fine. Here then I need to select the mid server if I have, which I don't have as of now. You can just select this and OK, click OK. So it's a kind of quick discovery. Instead of giving full schedule, writing full discovery schedules, you can do a quick discovery. So there are questions in interview which they ask, suppose you have only one IP and do you want to like discover it, how you will do. So the answer is you can just quickly discover by that option as quick discover. So this is how discovery is. I can tell you, like, here you will get the, when you will write discovery, you will get a video tutorial of this even. If you will see the first tutorial even, it will be of very helpful, like you will get the full concepts. So I will request you all to go through that once. Where it is. In case you have any doubts, so do tell me. And one more thing I will like to tell you is discovery was much more popular till Eureka. But what happened was there is one more partner. Nebula. Yeah, there was ServiceNow partner who was very good into like discovering CIs into a network. So they came up with a new concept known as Service Watch. So that is very high. That is in now, like every organization wants, like we want Service Watch. So Service Watch is similar things, but with improved features of discovery. It also is used to have populating CMDB, but it also brings in the related data as well, like related applications, related servers, all things as well. And Service Watch till Eureka version was on Amazon Cloud, because it was Nebula was ServiceNow partner who initially developed this, but later on what happened, ServiceNow took over the Nebula's thing and now they have integrated from Geneva. They have integrated Service Watch with ServiceNow. So from if someone is into Geneva, like they are into Geneva release, then Service Watch is on premises. And if they are not into Geneva and they are prior version Fuji or this Eureka, and they want to apply Service Watch, then they have to like go through Amazon Cloud, because it is not hosted on ServiceNow database. So this is like for your information kind of. So I would request you all to just read discovery. Don't go into much detail about it because it's a complex thing. But as your questions, like for your interview clearance, I think it will be good enough. Are you all clear with these things? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now we'll go through the web services part. So before explaining what is like how it works in ServiceNow, I will explain what exactly web services are, what are inbound services, what are outbound services, what is REST, what is SOAP, what is WSDL. I will explain all these things first, and then we'll have a look how it is in ServiceNow. Okay. So what exactly is web service? Now, when up till like you are working with a ServiceNow, you are working in development of ServiceNow, you have seen many scripts and all. This is all to modify ServiceNow, right? Now, there are many times there is a need where you want to integrate ServiceNow with some other tool, because all organizations does not use only single tool as their own whole soul thing. They are using many tools, like it may be that some organization is using Jira, JIRA. This is also a ticketing tool for their incidents because they are comfortable with Jira. Now, such type of environments, what they want is to have everything in ServiceNow, even like whatever it is, like they are maintaining their incident process in Jira, but then also what they want is there should be real time into your ServiceNow instance also. Suppose there is an incident raised in your Jira, so there should be also an incident raised in your ServiceNow. So such kind of things are called as integrations. When you integrate your, what is like whenever you send or get some data from an external agent or external system, this is called as integration in ServiceNow. Okay, And how it is done? It's all done via HTTP. Like we always send data or get data on HTTP, on normal hyper transfer text protocol. So it's like always data goes and comes via HTTP. Now ServiceNow supports API standards. Like you have seen, right? Client-side APIs that were G_form and G_user. These were client-side APIs. What were server-side APIs? GS, the glide system, what we were doing, right? GS.log and then current, previous. These were server-side APIs. So similarly, we have web service APIs. These are like API standards of ServiceNow, which, as in what we say is ServiceNow supports. There are three. One is REST, one is SOAP, and one is WSDL. What is REST? REST is a kind of language, like it's a coding language which is understood from the external system as well as ServiceNow system. Okay, so REST is representational state transfer. It is more secure, so it is more preferable. Like earlier it was SOAP was used, but nowadays everyone use REST v2, that is version 2, because it is more secured and safe. So it's like, as you all know, everyone is more towards the security of their data. So everyone prefer using REST over SOAP. Only reason is because it is more secure. Okay, so REST is representational state transfer. SOAP is simple access object protocol. This is also a kind of language which is understood by your ServiceNow instance as well as your external instance. The only difference is it is not so secure, and SOAP uses XMLs while REST uses JSON language. JASON. JSON. No, sorry, JSON. Like A is not there. JSON. JSON is the language what REST uses, and SOAP uses XML, RXML format of writing data. Like whenever you are doing it, it depends. Like REST can also support XMLs, but the major REST is over JSON and SOAP is over XMLs. And WSDL are basically web service description language. It is like widely understood, and it was the first thing that when the data migration started with from one instance to another or so. So it was like normal publishing of WSDL. So these are the three things. Now what happens is, suppose you have an external system and you have your SN system, okay, your ServiceNow system. Now suppose someone is sending some data from external to ServiceNow. This is called as inbound because ServiceNow is receiving it. So this kind of services, whenever you are getting something from other external systems, these are called as inbound web services. You are getting an inbound web service, and in that case ServiceNow is the provider. Please make note, it's a kind of confusion, but please, this is a question, like this is your interview question. If you are working on an inbound web service, who will be the provider? So in that case ServiceNow is the provider. So when your external system is sending you some data and your ServiceNow system is receiving data, such scenario is called as inbound web services, and in that scenario your ServiceNow is the provider. And when your ServiceNow is sending some data to external system, that is outbound web services because ServiceNow is sending, and in that case ServiceNow is consuming web services. So in that case ServiceNow is consumer. Okay, are you all clear with what we have talked about till here? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so this is like what we have talked about till is okay. Now we'll see inbound and outbound in detail, and then we'll go to ServiceNow instance and we'll see how it looks there. So when we talk about inbound services, it means some data is coming from an external agent to ServiceNow, right? So there are three types of things which can happen in inbound web service call. One thing can be direct web service. Second thing can be import sets, and third thing can be scripted web services. Direct web service means what we do is the external agent is directly coming and either adding, either creating updating, like doing a CURD operation, creating, reading, updating or deleting a record on our direct table. So this kind of services are called as direct web service. What they are doing is directly interacting with the ServiceNow table, existing table of ServiceNow. Suppose they are creating an incident record. This is called as direct web service. Second thing is import sets. They are not directly communicating with the target table. What they are doing is we will create an import set table for them. They will create a record into import set and we will define the transform map there. We will define the transform fields as a source field and a target field. And in there, when the things get created, it is called as import sets. So here in the point wherein the web service hit is the import set table. So this is more secure and this is more advisable to do rather than having a direct web service. Like have an import set table in between and then your import set is defined and then import set works. And the last part is scripted web services. So when there is a need, like your external system wants to know some calculated data from your system and something like that. So this is kind of scripted web service. It gives some data, like it want to process something and then get the result. So this scenario is scripted web services. This is all about inbound. So I repeat, in inbound we have three things. Direct. Direct means directly contacting the target table. Second thing is import sets. So import sets means they will contact our import set table. And third thing is scripted web services. So suppose when there is requirement, suppose they want to calculate something like a caller has, how they will be sending a caller name ABC. ABC have raised how many incidents and problems. So such kind of things can be done by a scripted web service. So these are the three things in inbound. When inbound means when an external system is sending some data to ServiceNow, it can be ServiceNow is sending the response or not, that is secondary. But if ServiceNow is receiving some data from an external system, this is called as inbound services. Now the second part is outbound services. In which scenario our ServiceNow is the consumer, because it is consuming a web service, it will be publishing a web service. So it is called as consumer. So what we do is it's also either a direct request. Suppose it's also divided into three parts: a direct request, request via ECC, and request via mid server. So when it's a direct request, what we do is we will write a direct request in case we are waiting for a response. Because suppose I have sent something to an external agent, I want a response from there and I want to update that response here. So that kind of thing is that in that scenario I will write a direct request. Direct request is synchronous because I want a response then and there. Second thing is request via ECC. ECC are basically a queue in ServiceNow. It's a kind of thread, like multi-threading, multitasking. It execute whenever you write ECC, so you will see your ECC queue here. So what we do is we just write like enter our data into ECC queue. So ECC queue is automatically processed whenever a thread is free. It's not like it will process then and there. It will like wait for a thread 3. Like it's a kind of workforce management, right? So ServiceNow manages its own workforce. So whenever you don't want a response from third party, so it's always advisable to go via ECC queue. So what you do is you request via ECC queue. This means you put a request in this queue, and then your queue request is processed whenever the thread is open. Third thing is request via mid server. So when you do request, then in that scenario, what you can do is you can have a mid server request. You can choose a mid server. So the only thing is your request works in the similar manner, but the only thing is it will go via a mid server, because where you are requesting, the external system where you are requesting is under a firewall protection. Wherein if you will send a naked request, if you will send a normal request, it won't go in, it won't penetrate it. So that's why in such scenarios you need a mid server, because the external system where you want to contact is under a firewall. Are you all clear with this conceptual things? This inbound and outbound? See,
Yeah.
whatever I explained you, just write web services here. There is a very beautiful video, I can tell you, like I understood many things from there. When you will write web services here, there is first video. Just go through this video tutorial. Today I went through this, and this is exactly what I explained you, and this is like diagrammatically a very beautiful explanation, and it will give you a clear idea about it. So go through this, and I can tell you more if you have any doubts tomorrow. So this is about inbound and outbound. So we'll see how the REST service works, because I can't explain you as we don't have any more instances in our hand. We don't have a mid server wherein I can explain you, but then also we'll try our best. Suppose this is my REST API Explorer. We'll write how to like consume a web service. Okay, so when you will see REST API Explorer is basically, it helps you. It's a kind of outbound service, like when you want to interact with an external system from your ServiceNow system. Okay, so when you will go on REST API Explorer, it's a kind of helping hand to you, so that it gives you an endpoint. It gives you things wherein you can just directly bring in the data from here, and you can put the data in your target instance. See, this is your target instance. Here you want to create something also, and there will be another instance that will be your consumer instance, from where you will be creating your web service, and your endpoint will be this target instance. So whatever your target instance is, you should open the REST API Explorer here, and when you will open it, this you will get your endpoint. This HTTPS, whatever you, this is your endpoint. So this you need to mention in a REST message what you will be creating in your consumer instance. When you create a new message here, new REST message, you need to give an endpoint. You will see this endpoint here. So this endpoint will be, you will be giving it here as from there. Oh my God. This will be my endpoint, because I don't have much instances to work on, so I'm telling you, like this you will be going in your consumer instance, from where you want to send the data, like initiator, which is your initiator. You will be going and writing a REST message there. You will be giving a name here. You will be writing the endpoint. Endpoint should be your this target instance. So this is your target API. You can write the table name. Suppose you want to create an incident, so your table name will be here. You will write INCIIDNT. Okay, and always use basic authentication. Basic authentication means there should be an web service underscore admin role. There is a web server admin role that should be always up with a person, either an admin or it's a web server admin, with the target instance as well as your consumer instance. You should have both the users at your target as well as your consumer instance, and they both should have web server admin role. So you need to provide an authentication user ID and password of that user who has that web server admin role. Okay, and now once you submit it, like I think it will allow me to save it. So once you save it, when you will save it, here comes the HTTP headers. We'll see about headers later. And these are the 4 out-of-box HTTP methods which are used for. Get is used for getting the data. Post when you want to send something. Delete when you want to delete something there. And when you want to update something there, you use put. So these are 4 defined things, but when you will see it, like it all had their own endpoints, which you have mentioned the earlier, like at the top. So we'll go in our target instance again. Herein comes how the data you want. How is your request format? Do you want JSON or do you want XML? So since we are using REST and since JSON is more preferred, we'll always try to go for a JSON. Authorization, send me as or send in another user. When you click on send in another user, you need to know that username and password. So what happens is herein comes that username which I was talking about. Like this is that user who should have that web server admin role. Now here you need to select the table. if we are talking about incident table, you need to select the incident table. Okay, this is an explorer which is helping you how your data will look. Now here comes if you have any query, like the query what you want to get in. Suppose I will mention a sysparam field here as number because I want to know only the number of incidents, and here for simple records it's only 10 sample records. So it will give me a 10 sample records. So if I just click on save here, you will this I am doing all at target instance. I'll just save it. I will just remove the use basic authentication here. Send me as only I am doing it. When you will see send me as, it's giving me an error because I am not basic authorization is not there. So what we'll do is we'll click create an user so that we can use that user. So this is what happens if we don't have a proper instance and all. But I think you all are getting a kind of rough idea what we are trying to do. Test user password I'm giving 1 2 3 4. This is the web service admin role which is required. Okay, so now we'll just put in this test user here. I think it should work. Not working because it's always failing, maybe because it's my target like no sample instance or not, I don't know, but this is how the things work, and since authorization is failing, so I can't show you. It's not validating properly. So what happens is when you if the validation is okay, there will be a status code as 20 or 200. Sorry. So the status code will be 200. This means okay. And here the response body will be, you will be getting an answer. Provided send as another user test user user बनाया उसको रोल दिया मैंने web server admin.
So which instance are you trying to find?
इसी को.
I'm not sure, but this will be enough.
Yeah, I think so.
Same instance.
I think we won't be able to do this because we have only one instance. Sorry. So this is here when you see it's like okay, and there you will be seeing status code as okay, and the response body will be getting an answer of the 10 incidents number from this instance. This is because we are trying to establish the same thing into our target instance, how the things should look. So now we'll go again in our test web service. We'll supposing that this is our another instance. So therein we need to get the data, right? So when we'll click on get, it all looks, it's coming from the parent thing. You need to give the basic authentication here and your authentication password. A mid server is required in case you wanted to penetrate through a proxy. This is, you will be knowing it before that there is a proxy required or not. If proxy is required, you will be selecting a mid server. If not, it's not required. So here comes your thing. That do you want to specify something as header? So yes, in header you need to specify except as application /JSON. So this is way you will be writing a header, because you need to specify which language you are. If you would have written here like XML, so you need to write application slash XML. So this is your value is application slash JSON. So this is how you specify your header. And what are your query parameters? Query parameters, you will see it from there. See, what are your query parameters? Sysparam fields number. These are query parameter, and sysparam limit was exactly here it was 10, but you can mention only 5 for default. But it won't work because we are in the same instance, so it won't work. But I can try it for you. You can have many number of fields, a comma separated field. Suppose you have two, number, short description, if you have to bring it. I'm just giving 5 as of now. So this is how you define your get method in your instance, and then you can just save it. Now if you want to test your connection, there is an UI action here. This is this test. If you will test it, see, it's giving me error, but here you get the response, and your HTTPS status should be 200. So this is since we are not having the endpoint properly and all. So this is how the thing works. Here you need to run your test run, and you need to know the response. Now, when you will preview your script here, this is how you can use this script. When you want to execute the same REST, you won't go and click on the test, right? Always. So this is this script that you need to mention it wherever you want. It can be any server-side script. It can be business rule. It can be your transform script. It can be your script include. You need to specify this script which I'm showing you to be calling your web service call. So on a higher level, are you all clear with what exactly I tried to explain?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in the similar way, like if you are not doing this, suppose you want to send the XML data, you need to select the request format and response format as XML. And here where you have in the header, it's like application and slash JSON. So you have to write application slash XML. And this was getting the data when you just wanted only the get data. Now suppose you want to post data, that is you want to create something. So what you will do is you will go in this REST API Explorer, you will go on this create a record. You will similar way you will just have this, you're copying this in your consumer instance. This is your wish, request, reopen. You need to select a table where you want to create the data, and you need to specify the fields which you want to create. Suppose you want to create a body or so. So this is how when you save it, you will see how your request body looks and how your response body looks. So on a higher level, are you all like now familiar with what is REST, how it looks like?
Yes, ma'am.
So I suppose what you all do is please give 1 hour today to your 1 hour of your time, and go through mid server, go through discovery, go through this REST APIs, and how a web service works in, and then tomorrow when we will be discussing our assignments, we'll go through your questions even.
Ma'am, I
Okay.
have a question.
Yeah.
Do you use different servers for different applications?
As in, I didn't get you. No, sorry.
Uh, like you mentioned that for every external application that uses a firewall, we need mid server to extract the data. So,
Mhm.
does every external application need a
No.
different mid server?
No, you can have only one mid server interacting with all the applications. It depends, like if your mid server should be in that area of that applications. Any number
Okay,
of applications you can connect with a single mid server.
mid server. Okay. Oh, thank you. And like when you say that you've worked on CMDB, is it necessary to know about Discovery and Service Watch? Like,
Not necessary. Not necessary. You can tell like you have not worked on discovery. You have just like taken the data either via Excels, or you were having some service catalogs to populate the data, or you have created the data source. So be clear with the data source part then.
okay. Okay, that means like in CMDB, whatever tables are there, like using that data source, you have populated those
Yeah, yeah. We
tables.
like there was a database. We queried on that database with that SQL statement, and then we wrote the import sets, and then we populated the data with the target table.
Okay, okay, ma'am. And this the assets which are there, even to populate those, you need discovery, or only for CMDB you need discovery.
Basically, we populate only CMDB, and assets are something different. Assets are like organizational defined CIs. It's a kind of CI which are more detailed. The only thing is because it is very anything that plays a major role in organizations fund related things, these are called as assets, any CI. So this is like we have CI first, and then we decided as whether it's an asset or not initially. Rather later we have to deciding whether while creation of the CI as well, but yeah, initially. So it's like no, discovery does not populate your assets.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So any more questions? Yeah, Pradeep, do you have any question?
Yeah, ma'am, like in table records, we have a field as display name, right? So there
Mm-hmm.
we have to choose true or false. What is that, ma'am? What is the purpose of it?
I explained you, right? Suppose we'll go to our test session, right? Session test. So here I have chosen a reference field, okay? So I am not into security admin. Give me a minute, huh? So basically what happens is, suppose you have created a reference field. So when you select that data, so what is that data displaying? So when you choose as username as display field, so that data will be selected. Likewise, I will explain you. Just give me a minute. Now this is our session test, right? We have location table here, right? As of now, it is displaying the name of the field, right? If I am selecting this location name is displayed. We'll go on our location table. This is our location table. We'll go on our location table. We'll go on its personalized dictionary, configure dictionary, sorry. And it's display. I think it does not have any displays too, right? I will just have a look. Oh, it
Yeah.
has name as okay. Now what we'll do is instead of name, there can be only one display. Okay. So if you want that, let me mark as city as true. Instead of its name, let me mark it city as true. When I will mark it city, it will automatically say that setting display value for city to true, changing display value of name to false. Okay, because only one can be true at a time. Okay, now we'll just refresh this form.
Why is it like
Are you
that, ma'am?
seeing the difference?
To show the name, right? So why can't we choose like multiple fields as true?
You can't choose the multiple fields. Only thing, if you want have thing to be shown multiple, only in case suppose you are selecting something. So when you put a star something, like suppose I write San Diego, suppose I write something like star or so. As of now, it's showing only San Diego. If you want two fields to be shown, that can be achieved via field attributes. I don't remember the exact attribute. If you want, I can tell you tomorrow. But that can be only seen when you are seeing into a reference field, not after selecting. This is a limitation in ServiceNow. You can only see one field value as a display value after selecting the field. Okay.
Madam,
Yeah, tell me.
what is the difference between table and application?
Which applications you are trying, which applications you are asking for?
Like whenever we are going to a table and columns, like create a table and create application, right? It's look like same.
1 minute. See, session test we have created a table, right? We have created u
Yes.
underscore session underscore test. That was table. When you see a record, when you see this, when you see this, this is the list of records. So this is my table values. These are my table entries, not this. These are dictionary entries. Sorry. 1 minute. So this is my table. And can someone please can you go on mute? It's like my voice is resonating. Yeah, thank you. So it's like when you see this, this is an edit application menu. Like all the things which comes as a heading here are called as applications. So these are applications. If you are not creating an application, it won't come here in your left navigation. Then for that table, you have to go like u underscore, you have to type its logical name and dot list, then only you can open that table. So here in this small session test is your table name and this is your application name. So when you want a heading here, when you have something like suppose you are creating a new table and under the configuration heading, so that configuration item will be your application and that table name will be your table. Table name is different. Table name is your entity and configuration like application is your heading of what you want to give in your left navigation. Have you got it clear?
Okay, madam.
Any more doubts?
Ma'am,
Any
do
more
you have
doubts?
any ma'am, do you have any example of any custom application you've created in ServiceNow?
Mm, example of custom application है recently मैं create किया था ना एक महीना पहले. Yeah, let me like find it out. I had one. Let me search for it. Its requirement. Will share with you tomorrow.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So if we are done with today's session, shall we wrap up today and let's meet tomorrow?
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you all. See you all tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thanks, ma'am.